Hey, good morning, bro. It's Tuesday, and me and you need to have a conversation. Now, yesterday I didn't post a video, and I want to apologize. I had to go to school, learn stuff that I'll be talking to you guys about, and then I had to go to work to earn money for food. Yeah. But I'm here today, and I do have a topic. Yeah. Thanks to one of our viewers, Mr. Bryon Jones, as I like to say, a fellow ghetto scholar. No. Anyway, Mr. Jones requested that we talk about why African American history wasn't taught in American schools. Okay, so I want to cover two things. One, I want to talk about where our textbooks come from and who influences what goes into those textbooks. And two, I want to talk about who actually teaches us the material in those textbooks. But first I want to say this reminds me of something that I went through a couple years ago in English class. Now, I go to a small university in the middle of the Midwest. Most of my peers are white, middle-class kids from suburbs of either Chicago or Minnesota or small town Iowa. Now, one of our reading assignments started with an epilogue that referenced the Nat Turner Rebellion of 1837. And most of the students in my class had no idea what the epilogue was talking about or what the author was talking about. Now, I think that everybody should know about Nat Turner, but if you don't, find out. But this did get me to thinking, why is it that a lot of these kids aren't aware of what I consider to be an important part of Black history? So there's this company called McGrawHill. You probably remember the name. It was likely on every textbook that you ever had going through elementary and high school. I guarantee if you look at your kids' textbook when they come home from school, they probably have a bunch of books by McGrawHill. And McGrawHill is basically a publication company. They are a large, if not the largest publication company in America. They make not only textbooks regarding English, history, math, and science, they also publish material for the financial markets, the construction industry, and they also make internet-based learning material. So these guys are big business and they affect a lot of the information that people get. Now, who decides what goes into the textbooks that kids read is very interesting. The state of Texas has about 5 million kids and is very particular about what it teaches those children, right? So if Texas was to say, we only want half a chapter on Black history, or these kids only need to know about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, and that's pretty much it when it comes to civil rights, they can pretty much do that. Or they can be like Tennessee. Tennessee proposed that the state take the fact that George Washington owned slaves out of their textbooks. Yeah, it's just a fact. And since these states buy so many textbooks, McGraw-Hill, instead of going back to the factory to recalibrate the machines to print up different texts for states like Ohio, Iowa, California, they just sell the same version to everybody. And you also have to think about who's responsible for teaching this material. Unless you live in like a primarily Black community, the people teaching your kids history probably aren't going to look like them. Or they may not be as sensitive or aware of the need for a variety of racial archetypes so that kids can get a good idea of who we are as a people. And what makes it worse is the people that are making the choices about the type of material that your kids get in their textbooks probably don't look like us either. And so what do we do about this? Well, one step is to stop waiting on schools. If you want your kids to know Black history, you have to teach them yourself in your home. If we look at other communities, Asian, Hispanic, Jewish, even African communities, they make sure that they organize ways to teach and pass on their heritage to their kids. They don't rely on the public school system. So next time you got a bunch of kids in your house, nieces, nephews, friends, family, sit them down, ask them what they know about Marcus Garvey. Ask them what they know about Charles Young, what they know about Liberia or the Haitian Revolution. You might just start a revolution. Alright, that's it for me. Kevin Clark, one half of Ghetto Scholars. You can catch us here on youtube.com/Ghetto Scholars every Monday and every Thursday, even though today's Tuesday. I'm probably going to have to buy John lunch for missing the date. I'm sorry. I want to thank Bryon Jones for suggesting today's topic, and you guys can check the link in the description below, linking you guys to articles that explain in a lot more detail some of the stuff that I covered today, and also provide a link to a book by a guy named Mr. Claude Anderson, Lies My Teacher Told Me. There are actually several books in this series, but if you want to start with educating your kids on Black history and getting away from the stuff that they give us in textbooks, I suggest you start with Mr. Claude Anderson. Also, Juwanza Kanju truthful is very good. So John, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about this issue. How do we get our kids to learn more about Black history? Should we press the school system to teach them a little bit more, teach them a lot more, or should we fall back on ourselves and take that responsibility ourselves as parents and as a community? Until then, I'll see you Thursday. Peace.